My name is Precious Ikwen. I am a 400 level computer science student of the University of Benin. I've been at home for 7 months now. The strike has been very depressing for me because there's been a lot of pressure to have things figured out, to know what to do with all this time that has been given and make the most of it.
In all honesty, when the strike started 5 months ago, I was not so bothered because attending a federal university in Nigeria, it's the federal government and the union has made it a normal thing for we students to have the mindset that there's always going to be strike. So this is not the first time strike is happening. A 9 month strike happened before, I think 2020, before COVID, and now another strike. Just one semester till graduation. It is quite disheartening and depressing.
At the beginning of the strike, I wasn't so bothered because I thought that whatever the issue is between the federal government and the union will be addressed swiftly, and then we'll be asked to go back to school. But 5 months on, and we are still home, waiting for a miracle to happen. At the beginning of the strike, I started by taking 2 courses online. I took a project management course online, and then I took a writing course online. But when I couldn't afford to fund my courses anymore, I decided to get myself a job because I was gradually slipping into depression. I got myself a job as a secretary in an organization where I currently work, and although this has helped to sharpen my people skill, it still doesn't change the fact that I have a phase in my life I'm yet to complete. It feels like doing the right thing at the wrong time.
I've been on strike since February 14th. Should be like 7 months now. Well, basically, the COVID took 1 year already, so that is already setting us back. And then this strike is now looking like it's take us back another 1 year again. So that would now be like 2 years gone. All things being equal, I was supposed to graduate next year, but now I'm in 3rd year, and we're even about to write. We're close to writing exam. Now because of the strike, I've been at home, just trying to keep myself busy, learning some programming.
The students benefit initially in the first few weeks because many students, as we know, are not up to scratch at school. They're not studying. So that initial break gives them time to catch up with their notes, read up for some assignments and other things. But once we go beyond the first few weeks, it becomes a drag. It becomes a real problem for such students because the tendency is to neglect the books and then start looking for a means of livelihood. And once they do that, it begins to affect them because they then become worried. They might be called back to school instantly and exams, and yet they're not studying anymore. So it becomes a source of anxiety for them.
Negative impact on criminality, crimes and criminality has gone very high. The demoralization of the students and whatever the fear of the hope of the future is also telling on them. And that is the reason why private universities and individual schools are now making wave.
My brother is a student of Unilag and he is in his 2nd year, and my dad wanted to send him to a private university because I'm closer to graduating. I'm in my final year, so I could wait out the whole issue, but he is in a more tender stage, so it's better to take him out. And they won't even give us his transcript because they're on strike. It's like, oh, call off the strike. No, give us the transcript so he can go to another school. No. So please, I'm begging the government, I'm begging us in leadership, please, you are hurting us. You are hurting our futures.
let's not forget, many of our campuses are the bastions of cult activities. Now, those cult activities, in the absence of the university environment, are taken out and they manifest in our societies. We're not surprised that kidnapping is on the rise. Kidnapping is not just the headsmen. Kidnapping is happening even in the deep end of the southern part of the country. We're not surprised that armed robbery is on the rise. We're not surprised, there's so many things. And these are usually young men. Some of them are actually students. And some are most recent graduates. So this provides an outlet for them. In the absence of anything to occupy their time, they create something for themselves.
My name is Naji Kingsley. I'm a master's student at Federal University of Technology, Mina. We've had lectures for about 2-3 months. Yes, 2-3 months there, then before the strike began. The strike actually began a week to our exams. So we were supposed to start the exams on a Monday. That same Monday the strike began. That was the same Monday we were supposed to start our exams.
Sincerely, I hoped I was gonna be done with my program. I think sometime in October this year. So it means it's got to be next year. And I hope to do more and more studies. And this is gonna be like a backlog. It's going to hinder me from carrying out more courses in the future. And I think that's a problem with time. It means there's lapse in time. Yes.
The effect now is mostly on the students, but more on the parents and also even the business world for those who rely on business based on school activities. Also, the teachers themselves are affected because as a teacher, the hobby of being a lecturer or a teacher is what you deliver to your children. Well, I say children because they are your students. The joy you derive from impacting knowledge on people is unquantifiable. So they are highly affected.
Let's not forget that these students, a number of them stay outside of school campus and they have to pay for accommodation. Now, irrespective of whether ASU is on strike or not, the accommodation reads through the year. So parents pay for it. And therefore, by the time they're going back to school after 8-9 months, they have to pay a fresh accommodation. Where's that money going to come from? Most of the students who attend public universities are just barely able to scrap together a living. And they have to pay another extra one, another extra session, have to pay school fees, extra year. It's a source of worry for a number of students who are self-sponsoring.
My name is Tunde Johnson Elebi Moyo. I have been working in the school environment in the space of, I think, 6, 7, 8 years. I'm an IT consultant. My work pertains course registration, anything that deals with students' registration. It has really been terrible because I do have some staff working under us, and it actually serves, the work we do here serves as a means of income for staffs out there. But since the school has actually been on strike, it's really been terrible because some of the staffs has to stay back home due to the source, like paying of the school fee, like paying of other stuff, or attending to them has been very difficult because there is no much work going around the school facility. If you can look around the school facility, everything is just like almost empty. Everywhere is empty, so there's nothing much going on at the moment. So it's difficult. Some people lost their job because paying the staff salary is actually terrible. Staff in the shop are actually, I think, 14 or so. We're 14 because we get extremely very busy. Right now, I think if you should look inside the shop, I think we have just like 5 or 6 left. 7 are back home doing nothing.
Strike actually, as you can see, this is a student environment. Looking at the environment, you see it's scanty. This place is supposed to be crowded. Business is just at a pause. And still, irrespective of that, government come for their revenues and every other thing.
As you can see, no student, no job. You can see we are just sitting without doing anything. And that's where we used to get our daily bread. So now, nothing. So it has affected us very well.
The ASU strike affects the business in all the work I'm doing here. Because here in the business center, we sell, we do acceptance fee. There are no students now to print course form, exams card and others. While we still have other business that we do, like selling of the minerals, snacks and the rest.
Before we can cook 1 bag of rice here, 3 semo, gari, everything. Now double, but now even half semo, we cannot finish it. 2 muddin of rice, man, sometimes. Now we dey eat it.
I had made plans, my family had made plans, and all of these plans have been put on hold. By now, I thought I would have been done with school and I would have moved on to other areas and aspects of my life. But here I am, stuck on this phase. I'm really hoping that something is done swiftly and that a little consideration is done or is made for the future of Nigerian students, because we are here waiting for a miracle to happen, waiting for something, just anything that looks like good news to be heard, but we are here and it seems like we are waiting in vain. I hope that this strike is called off swiftly so we can all continue in school.
At a point, I thought, okay, this strike is a normal thing. I can cope. But at a point, I could not cope anymore because I had so much expectations from this year, 2022. I had the mindset that yes, I'll graduate. At least I'll have my BSc. Then I'll know that yes, I have completed a major phase in my life. Then move on to another phase, probably apply for a master's degree abroad or do 1 or 2 things. But the goals has been hijacked by ASU and the federal government. Imagine I had to start selling thrifts, what Nigerians popularly known as okrika, second hand. That is what I now sell to keep myself busy, to keep me distracted from the strike, the federal government.
The entire situation is really sad, to be honest, because it's clear that we're just pawns in the entire game. Lecturers or ASU leadership said they want more money. Government said there's no money to give. Neither side cares about the welfare of students, because if either side cared about the welfare of students, they would have been able to meet in the middle and get to some sort of conclusion or agreement on something. But it's been so long and there has still been nothing. And the most annoying part is saying there's no money. It's not that there's no money. Like, nobody can convince me or lie to me that there is no money. There is money. The problem is that the government doesn't care about education.
In one of my lectures, sometime in about 2002, when there was this satellite campus scheme and we're lecturing in postgraduate studies in leadership and executive development. One of the lecture notes that I gave out, I gave it specifically that for anybody to take any public position in this country, you must make sure that the children are not schooling outside. Unless their children are where their interests are, they will not do what is reasonable. Because we've had instances of so many ministers of education being professors of from various universities, and they have always disappointed us. We need somebody who is concerned about where the children are so that they can do it. Because even as it is now that strikes are on, many of our dignitaries, their children are graduating outside the country.
When I first entered school, there was a strike, but that one did not last. It lasted for I think 3 months. But then the thing is that before the COVID, they actually called for strike. But because it was now COVID, so the effect of strike was not really felt. But then after the COVID, there was still strike for I think like 2 months or so till January, February. So I was supposed to graduate next year, then God willing, go for my masters in aeronautic engineering. But now this has taken 2 years, so I don't know how it's going to be.
I think sometimes back when my elder brothers were in ABU, they were home for a very, very long time. I was a victim of strike in my undergraduate days, and in my postgraduate days, I'm still a victim of strike. So it means if I have a son now and he's going to a Nigerian university, he might also be a victim of strike. So this is like talking about three generations. They are all victims of strike. First strike, we were home for about 6 months. 6 months. Sincerely, I played so much video games that time. I left Kano to ABU's area. They usually have light. In fact, that was the reason. I was there and it was video game. But if I had invested that time in learning probably programming and networking, it would have been worthwhile for me, or other applications that are within my realm of affairs. Yes, it would have been a lot better. So we can improve ourselves.
I was a victim of a 6-month stay at home as a student. And at that point, I thought by the time I'm done with school and gone, there'll be nobody going to public institutions. But sadly, that's what we have right now. As much as we may have our doubts about the viability of public universities, the fact still remains that for the number of students leaving secondary schools every year, compared to the number of universities that we have, and affordability, the public university still remains the most viable option for students. So what tends to happen is, the fact is, parents now factor ASU strike into. So when you're going for a 4-year course, somehow parents are thinking 6 years.
It's unfortunate that even now, if you look at the parameter of ranking of universities, I'm not sure any Nigerian university is ranked among the highest in the world now. Maybe among the first 100 universities around the world. It has degraded our level of education and the value of our educational system that nobody wants to even send any student to Nigeria. And even Nigerian students, when they go out there, those days we used to hear that when Nigerians train from here and they go to other countries, they are rated highly. Now, even if you are a graduate maybe of nursing or medicine or any of these critical careers, you have to go and undergo another program, kind of a refresher program for them to recognize that you are actually qualified. That is the negative impact on the Nigerian society. The psyche of Nigerian education system has gone so low.
I want to plan things out, and I just didn't plan for this. And what makes it even more difficult is that I can't plan ahead, because I can't tell if the strike is going to get called off this month, next year, after the election. I don't know. So I'm just stuck in a limbo whereby I can't necessarily plan anything substantial for myself. But luckily for me, I've been able to adapt quite all right. The idea is just to understand that anything I want to plan should be ready to like shift in case anything happens and the strike gets called off miraculously.
If you ask me right now as a person, I can't remember any of the things I read I was preparing for before the exams. I can't remember. Because it's been a long time since I opened my book. Sometimes I feel like, okay, well, what if they call off the strike today and then the school says, okay, come back and let's start the exam. What will you go and write? Because I can't even remember anything. I don't know what I'm going there to write. In fact, some of my books right now, I don't even know where I kept them.
Some of my mates that are in university during this strike some have gone abroad, some of my friends have gone to private universities, some are contemplating to going to private universities or going abroad. So, and some of my mates that have graduated, my mates are basically graduating. I think Afe is graduating, Veritas, Babcock. So it's sort of discouraging seeing that my mates that I left school with, they are already ahead of me.
The biggest worry for the students, in my own opinion, is when they suddenly realize that they are losing years of schooling when they should be at school, and they watch their colleagues and their mates who are in private universities graduating 2-3 years before them. And therefore, they have the first choice in the job market. So they fill in the vacant positions, whilst those in public sector universities are still at home doing absolutely nothing. So that creates a lot of heightened anxiety. It provides a void in their lives. And you know what that does? Once there's heightened anxiety and void, young boys and girls will look for other things to fill it up.
You can see all the beards are already growing, and then very soon parents will start disturbing. Okay, how far? Where is madam? It really doesn't make any sense. Delaying people like this, and then the age is still counting. Before you know now, if you want to apply for a job, they tell you, okay, you need 10 years experience. Well, how are you supposed to gather those experience and all of that when you've not even finished school yet, as we're still holding you back? And then they will want you to be below the age of 28, below the age of this.
It's easy to say, oh, I'm not going to compare my race with anyone else's, but it's been very, very sad because I have a friend who studied a 5-year program and I'm studying a 4-year program, and we've congratulated him, oh, congrats on your graduation and all that, and I'm still here in 400 level after so many years. I mean, my school ID card has literally expired.
It's as much as it is undesirable, the fact is it appears to have come to stay because it's gone through several governments. So it's very difficult to think of one government. Each successive government have had to face the unions and ASU. And sadly, the impact on society, on the students, and indeed on families are often overlooked.